Hey everybody, hope you're being healthy. Hope you're being aware this month with our Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So in this one, I need to talk to you guys about the safer ways to image breasts. We should not be using mammography. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean that you should be doing it too. We're going to look at some safer ways to image. We're going to look at some better ways to do it. We're going to look at what's wrong with mammography. So let's just jump right into it. If we go to look and get our information about mammograms from mainstream sources, we're told such things that women between 50 and 79 should be getting a mammogram every 2 years, that the radiation risk exposure is low. We're taught that mams are the best way to detect early breast cancer. And finally, we're taught that women with implants should be getting mammograms as well. And all of these are absolutely incorrect, absolutely false, and this is why. The first problem is that mammograms rarely tell if it's early breast cancer or not. If you've been using a mammogram as a tool to find your breast cancer, you've been sick somewhere between 7 to 12 years. That's how long it takes for that tumor to grow that large. A radiologist can only see it when it becomes a half of a centimeter to a centimeter size, and it may or may not even be cancer at that point. So we're compounding it, we're squishing it, and we're giving it radiation on top of that. By the time that tumor is found on the mammogram, it's about 1 billion cells large. That's a lot of cells, so think about it. Eventually, if we follow it down the chain, it started at 1 cell, 1 turned to 2, turned to 4, to 16, and so on and so forth. But what we need to remember is that cancer usually multiplies and duplicates every 90 days or every 3 months. So you've been sick for a very, very long time. So when we're looking at somewhere between 7 and 12 years, is it really early detection? When we look in a thermogram, that we can catch it in the early years, somewhere between 5 and 8 years sooner than that. We can catch it in the second year when the blood vessel supply is still being formed into the tumor cell. It's amazing, and this is our golden standard. So again, to reiterate, the thermogram and the ultrasound are better uses of imaging because they can find damaged cell groups at a much earlier stage than the mammogram could. And it's safer in the sense that you're not going to have the side effects, you're not going to have the ionizing radiation, you're not going to have the squishing effect. So next we need to talk about if you have breast implants. Breast implants are only going to damage you because what technology has to do is pry your breast tissue away from the implant. So it's only going to obscure the images in the first place, and then you have to take additional images to get around that implant. On top of compressing the implant, you risk rupturing it or damaging your breast tissue in another different way. What's crazy to me and worth noting is I've talked to radiologists, some that I've worked with on a first-name basis in the past, and I've talked to them about a thermogram, and one of them was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard about that." I'm like, "Well, what are your thoughts?" He's like, "I don't know, we never learned about them in school." So, I mean, unless you take yourself out of the realm of knowledge that's classically taught, you're just subjecting yourself to potential harm. One of the biggest shames is that we have to retrospectively change what's going on with our breast imaging results. The American Cancer Society changed its guidelines in 2015. We've been using mammograms for years and years and years. We're just now becoming the best that we can at reading them as a medical community and actually, using them graphically, if you will. So they changed their guidelines from 40 to 45 because they realized that the risk under that age is just so much more significant. So just a 5-year change. So what's going to happen in another 20, 25 years? What's with the knowledge that we're learning? And there are very serious studies that have already been released and published that show that mammograms don't do anything for the treatment, and it doesn't prevent any death once you've been diagnosed. The last thing I'm going to touch on to wrap this up, on top of what I just mentioned about the other studies, there's a PhD, his name is Peter, I'm probably going to murder his name, Peter Goetsch. He's a PhD, and he published a study in 2000 in The Lancet, one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world. And he noted that women who do get mammograms have a 4% increased death rate chance if they do end up getting diagnosed with breast cancer. I mean, this is a serious prestige journal, guys, and this is the information we're working with. So we need to really start changing what we're doing. Just because everyone else is getting the mammograms doesn't mean that you should be too. And if you want to sign up for them, go ahead. I'm just giving you the information I've learned over time. And as long as we have options, I don't expect people to take one route or the other. But as long as you have information, as long as you have the information to take and use as an option, I don't think that anybody would ever fault anybody else for at least having more paths, more options, more information about what's really going on in their health. Because honestly, I don't know of any woman who would, if you told them you've been sick for 7 to 12 years, okay, we're going to do this, this, or this. Now, oh, hey, well, using a thermogram and ultrasound, more sensitive, more time. So, okay, wow, we've caught this, what might develop into a breast tumor, or what looks like it's on track to be a breast tumor. Well, if you used a mammogram, we might not have caught that for another 5 to 8 years. Good thing we caught it in year 2. The blood vessels, Mrs. Smith, are just starting to get to that breast tumor. So let's start changing what we're putting in the body. Let's start removing toxins. Let's start alkalizing the body. Let's start going down the list and figure out what's going to work for you. And guys, when we're talking about years and years and years, I mean, there's things that don't work for people that work great for other people. So we need to find out what works for our body and what's causing that breakdown and that cancer to start growing in our body in the first place. So time is on our side. Time is really on our side without the ionizing radiation. So let's start getting into it more. And I'd love to see more women using, it's already FDA approved, thermograms. And so, yeah, guys, let's start bringing it into our medical community. Love to see it. Be safe out there. And as always, protect yourselves. And prevention is our best protection. So see you guys on the next video.